Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party. A bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down just like this.
And he knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
We're downtown on the weekend, downtown Toronto, and I was about to turn right when in the rearview mirror I noticed a cyclist coming right by, hit the brakes, narrowly avoided hitting him. He turned, waved at me, said thank you. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was a near-death experience. I thought I was going to end up in the news.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a Football Friday live coming out of your television, Game Plus TV, your radio, WQEE, and, of course, streaming live on YouTube. It's your favorite daytime sports talk show. And that's the deal. Coming up on the program today, the CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. We've got Reid Johnson from Seattle and the MarkCast. And back from vacation, Darren Moose Dupont. Those that have been asking all week for him now have him. Moose, welcome back. Can you, in 30 seconds or less, recap your week? The viewers missed you. Tell them what you've been doing, please.
I missed you guys too, Rod. I missed you, and it's good to be back on the show today. I was away in Calgary at the CPKC Women's Open, doing some work there, having some fun, and then a wedding. Estevan Bruins assistant coach Drew Koser got married. I emceed his wedding on the weekend, went to Wynyard, saw my nephews, and then made it back to Toronto late last.
Beauty, you ready to talk some ball?
I'm ready, man. Let's go.
All right, that's what we do. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Director Jordan.
Yes.
Director Jordan's back from Buffalo Days, and we're ready to go. Listen, I know there's a lot of Bomber fans that are here today that are here to gloat, as my guy Kevin the Medium calls them, the Smurf Mafia. Just hang on. I'll wait for everybody to get settled in here. And I'm going to open with the National Football League because we do air in 31 U.S. states, where if you might have heard, this is kind of a big deal down there. While Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, and other starters from both teams watched from the sidelines, the NFL's new kickoffs did not provide any excitement in the Hall of Fame game last night, the NFL's preseason lid lifter. However, Brett Rippon did. He stole the show before lightning and heavy rain ended the game with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Brett Rippon threw 3 touchdown passes, leading the Chicago Bears to a 21-17 victory over the Houston Texans in the Hall of Fame game. The NFL's exhibition opener was called with 3:31 to go in the third because of a weather situation. All eyes were on the NFL's radical new kickoff rules at the start of the game and throughout. None of the 8 kickoffs were returned past the 32-yard line, Darren. 3 were brought back to the 26, a yard further than where the old touchback would have been. So, I don't know. I was calling baseball last night. I caught the highlights. Did you watch any of the Hall of Fame game, or were you traveling last night?
Yeah, I was traveling, but same with me. I caught the highlights, and I wasn't expecting much out of the game. I mean, there was no Caleb Williams for Chicago. There was no C.J. Stroud, for Houston, which we expected. But you're right. Brett Rippon put together a good effort, and, it ended early. But, these games are just, you're not really going to get a lot of noteworthy things coming out of these early preseason games. And last night was no different.
Well, hey, there's different schools of thought on this. I mean, to me, it's not really about the game. It's not. It's about the party. It's about the pomp and circumstance. It's about Hall of Fame weekend, which I'm getting to. But if you want to sit and dissect and break everything down, I mean, Brett Rippon, people were hoping at some point he might come to the Canadian Football League, as they continue to hope that Nathan Rourke is going to come to the Canadian Football League. I'm starting to wonder if that's ever going to happen. But Mark Rippon, I was looking into this morning, the greatest Canadian to ever play in the National Football League. He was a Super Bowl MVP for Washington. Born in Calgary, moved to Spokane at the age of 3. But still a Canadian, Mark Rippon. And I think Brett Rippon has non-import status in the CFL. These are all interesting things to watch. But as far as the kickoffs go, it's not just about lining up XFL style. I'm sure you're aware now, with the onside kick, you need to declare your intent to the officials and let the other team know you're going to kick an onside kick. Whatever. Our poll question today is, do you like the NFL's new kickoff rules? Not just this, what we saw last night with the cover team lining up at the opposition 40, the plus 40, and the return team at between the 30 and 35. Do you like the rules or not? Just so you know, it's about 50-50. So that's what happened last night in the Hall of Fame game. Now, moving on to point 2, many of the Bears and Texans fans in the crowd went to Canton for the weekend to see their favorites don the gold jacket Saturday afternoon. Devin Hester, the dynamic playmaker who returned a league record 14 points for touchdowns and ran back 5 more kickoffs for scores during an 11-year career spent mostly with the Bears, will be the first punt returner ever inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'm going to be honest, Darren, at my advanced age, there's not a lot of things that really make my heart skip a beat in life. This does. It skipped a beat. I got butterflies thinking about Hall of Fame weekend. Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, the 7-time Pro Bowl wide receiver, will be the first member of the Houston Texans ever inducted. So I don't know about you, how you feel about this. I did a quick little Google search this morning, and Hall of Fames just get me excited, at least the way Pro Football Hall of Fame, I believe, still runs the way that it should. Dwight Freeney's going in this weekend. Andrew Johnson, Devin Hester, Randy Gradishar, Patrick Willis, Steve McMichael, and Julius Peppers. The broadcast will be carried on NFL Network beginning at noon Eastern and run all day. That's the way it should be. How frothing are you for Hall of Fame weekend in Canton?
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And, these are now players that I grew up watching. Devin Hester, I watched him probably most of his career. Julius Peppers. Andre Johnson finished his career with the Tennessee Titans, but obviously made his Hall of Fame career with the Houston Texans. These are guys you watch, so now you can really celebrate them going in. We know all about the legends, when they go into the Hall of Fame, when Emmitt Smith went into the Hall of Fame, but I only watched, a little microscopic amount of Emmitt Smith's career. Now we're getting into the guys, I grew up and people my age grew up watching.
Tells you that you're getting old, Moose, just so you know.
How about that?
I'm staying out of the comments for a minute. I will tell you that Jim Barker's coming up in the next segment from the CFL on TSN. But I get excited about this. One of the greatest moments of my sporting career, if I could have, in what I do and what you do, probably if I did a top 10, one of those would be the Hall of Fame induction 2017 Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton on the turf, Tim Hortons Field. That was when O'Shea went in, and if I can remember, I believe G. Roy Simon went in. It was a really good class. Joffrey Reynolds, Brian Tauris, Stan Schwartz. It was just awesome. I can't remember who it was a beautiful night in Hamilton. And I remember the night before, we were there because the Rough Riders were playing the Tiger Cats the next day in the Hall of Fame game. And I'm trying to round up all the Hamilton media, my buddies, and they weren't even going. I don't know why. It's not really a thing. And maybe I'm just a Hall of Fame nerd and a Hall of Fame junkie, but I'm sitting there. NFL Network's going to stream it all day. we're trying to be positive here. TSN's never shown any interest from what I've seen in carrying the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. The CFL.ca doesn't stream it. Jim Hobson, when he went in a few years ago, his kid, Tyler, videoed it on his damn iPhone and sent me the video. I'm like, I'd love to post this, but this is so bad, I can't. So the contributions to the game are jaw-dropping and too much to mention, and we can't even get it televised in Canada, but whatever. I don't care anymore. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Moving on now to the Canadian Football League, ironically. Point 3, Lucky Whitehead caught a 19-yard touchdown pass in his season debut, and Sergio Castillo booted 6 field goals to help the Winnipeg Blue Bombers upset the BC Lions 25-0 and snap their 2-game losing skid Thursday. Lions quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. left the game after being sacked at 2:29 of the fourth quarter. He was replaced by Jake Dolegala. Lions head coach Rick Campbell said, QBVA is likely out, quote, on the order of weeks, not months or longer, unquote, after injuring his right knee. Out of all of that, it was an upset. You and I both picked the Lions to win. Everybody did. The Bombers are 3-6. Add that up. That's 9 games. Winnipeg's halfway through the season, Darren. Are people aware that the season is half over this week?
That is crazy. You know, we always say, you know, the season doesn't start till Labor Day and all the rest. No, it's half over now, and we are just turned the page on August. It's wild. That was one of the great defensive efforts that we've seen in a long time. I mean, to hold that offense, what do they have, 86 yards passing, 4 first downs the BC Lions had. That was a great effort by Winnipeg's defense. Brady Oliveira had a 100-yard game. A lot of good things for Winnipeg, and if VA's out, this is kind of concerning for the BC Lions. And, you know, Winnipeg's a team that is kind of just sitting like a snake in the grass, right? At 3-6, nobody wants to play them necessarily. They're all worried about if they get hot. And maybe last night was the start of something for Winnipeg.
It's just wild. It's like every year we're shocked that the Canadian Football League is completely zany. And you think you're out of it at Labor Day. You're really not. Although I was talking to a learned CFL guy, and we're going to push most of the CFL talk to next hour with you. But as far as Calgary goes, that's a really big game Sunday in Calgary. The Stampeders, if you haven't noticed, are a middling team. They're not what they once were. This is going to upset Jeff, the Stamps fan, who's tuned in. I see him commenting here right now on Mark Rippon, pointing out that he's a Canadian. Guy said to me yesterday, a CFL guy, he said, Dave Dickinson is a coach. John Hufnagel was a leader. There's a difference, and that's what the Stampeders are missing. Add to the fact that they've been rated from talent in the coaching ranks. Corey Mace gone, Ryan Dinwiddie gone. These guys all doing great things. It's a big return for the Argos into Calgary on Sunday with Ryan Dinwiddie, who cut his teeth on the coaching staff there. So that's something for y'all to munch on in this segment. I'm going to ask you this, or throughout the next 2 hours on this Football Friday. We're covering it all right now. Show's going great. Point 4, Friday Night Football. The Hamilton Tiger Cats will look to string together a third straight win tonight when they host the defending Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes. The Ticats coming off a 44-28 win over Edmonton last week and a 27-24 victory against Toronto the week before. They're now 2-5. Meanwhile, Montreal, the best team in the league, at 6-1, and they're winning with backup quarterbacks with Cody Fajardo out. Third stringer Davis Alexander starts tonight for the Owls. What do you think goes down at the donut box or the coffee cup or whatever they call it in Hamilton, Tim Hortons Field?
Yeah, it should be a good game. And, with Alexander starting, I maybe, I'm not going to tinker with my picks, but I kind of want to lean Hamilton, in the game. He had a great opening week. Sometimes that's hard to sustain when you're a rookie. You come out, you're free, and then you become the starter and you play a little differently. When you become the starter, now you're trying to manage the game and not make mistakes instead of just coming out off the bench and just balling. And, we kind of overlooked Bo Levi throwing 5 touchdown passes last week. I mean, it's pretty remarkable stuff what he's doing in Hamilton coming off the injury. They're a team too. I don't know if they're a snake in the grass like Winnipeg is, but they're a team that can start making a little bit of noise if they play consistently like they did last week.
I've been waiting for this. Kevin the Medium has checked in. I was worried about him today. His BC Lions lost last night 25-0. He's written in, good morning, RP peeps. I have not jumped off the Lions bandwagon. The Lions will recover. He's the guy that coined the term Smurf Mafia when it comes to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and their fans, and I just chuckle every time I hear it. So I use it. If you don't like it, blame Kevin, not me. It's just funny. These CFL things, they're funny. Come on, can we not have fun? While I have you here, we got a couple minutes left. We'll get into the Trey Ford starting for Edmonton next hour. You've picked Edmonton to win. I've still picked the Riders. But do you have a thought on Nathan Rourke signing with Atlanta? It's kind of a funny thing. Some people are actually starting to get miffed that he hasn't just packed up his knapsack and come back to Canada and touch off a bidding war in the CFL. Well, yeah. Yes, you did. But give me your thoughts for those that didn't read it here, please.
Yeah, no. I was going to say I read about it, and I said, looking at some of the situations, I actually think Vegas would be a really great fit. But again, teams have to be interested in Nathan too. Atlanta was before. They put a waiver claim in on him, but they were the Giants had higher priorities, so they got him first. So now the Falcons get their chance. He works out, and he signs. Now they got 3 really good quarterbacks. You got a starter, Kirk Cousins. You got a backup, Taylor Heineke, who's a veteran, has played well in this league. And you got a first-round pick in Michael Penix Jr. Now, John Paddock is gone. They released him to make room for Nathan Rourke. I think there's an opportunity here. He could beat out Taylor Heineke for the 3rd spot and go with they could go with another young guy like Nathan Rourke in the 3rd spot and maybe gets his opportunity. I think go where you have a chance, where people want you. This is the 2nd time Atlanta has shown interest in him, so clearly they like him. I think this story is far from over for Nathan Rourke. He's not close to coming to Canada.
That's what John Paddock's doing now? I wondered after he retired from the Regina Pats. He was quarterback in the Atlanta Oh, jeez. I got to start paying attention to that. Yeah. We're really flying through. We got 2 minutes left in this segment. So do you want to talk about men participating in women's boxing at the Olympics? I'm trying to stay out of the fray. We covered it yesterday, but man, these Olympics. I think if you were there, you'd be having a great time. If you bought tickets and you went, you wouldn't be seeing the media furor that the rest of the world is seeing. You'd actually be having a great time and not being aware of all of it. Yeah. But it just looks like an absolute freak show, the Olympics.
No, and it's not great, the stories on social. But again, I think what happens is we're 90% headline readers. We see this on Facebook and we get outraged based on the headline we read, and we don't read the whole story or dig into it. I think there's a lot less to this story, and it's a far less deal than everybody's making it out to be online. This isn't new. The athlete's been competing for a long time. Yes, very good. And I don't know all the ins and outs about testosterone levels and all the rest. My understanding is it is a woman in a country where, you're not really allowed to change genders and doesn't go well for you. She's competed before, won lots, lost lots, 9 losses, won a silver medal at the World Championships, got that stripped because of the boxing rules around testosterone. But because she caught the Italian right in the nose really hard, now we're talking about it, right? We weren't talking about it when Ronda Rousey was knocking out girls in 17 seconds in the UFC.
Ronda Rousey didn't test positive for XY chromosomes and increased testosterone levels. So it's funny. I don't agree, but that's what's good about this. I don't agree at all, and I've done my own investigating because I'd kind of like to know. We'll pick this up in hour 2. Thanks, Moose.
Sounds good.
Jim Barker's in next on the CFL on TSN. And, Coach, we won't be talking about that. Just so you know, Jim. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, our television partner. Our radio partner is Key Radio in Atlanta, 99.1 FM. We're streaming daily on YouTube Live and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic at Aspen Links in Regina, hosted by the Rod Pedersen Show. It's your chance to golf with your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers alumni. We're going to have a special draft the night before in the Aspen Links Clubhouse and Rec Room. DM us for details. And we'll see you in the Queen City on Labor Day weekend, the day before the big game. Please welcome in the CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. I'm just going to read this, Coach. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the BC Lions 25-0 Thursday in a sterling defensive effort, limiting the visitors to 102 yards in net offense. BC quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. did not finish the game after appearing to injure his leg. Nobody saw this one coming, man. What was your take on the Week 9 lid lifter?
Absolutely shocked. I mean, they're coming off of a bye week. Again, you try to figure out how can VA be as bad as he was. I mean, it was like, is it new receivers, you know, Hatcher playing at W and then moving McInnes and now different people. It's kind of what Zach Collaros went through. He just seemed discombobulated the entire game. And I mean, there was never a point where you thought, okay, he's going to be fine, or he had a couple bad series. It was as bad a game as that youngster's played since he's been in the league, and there's cause for concern. I mean, why did that? How did that happen? And you know, there's just a lot of speculation around about, you know, about why would all of a sudden this happen where he's just seemed completely disconnected. And there was even talk about, the Nathan Rourke being there. And then, from what I understand, they had him in the locker room after the game, breaking the team down. And, those kind of things might affect a starting core. I don't know. I just, there's something wrong, and I don't know what it is. I was as shocked as you were. No way did I thought Winnipeg had a chance to win the game, but to win it the way they won it, and again, I can't, Winnipeg, all kudos to them, but that BC offense was horrible. I mean, you can't be worse than that. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I know. It's cool. Nobody knows. But I mean, I'm smiling because the BC Lions were the toast of the town for most of July. Like, is VA not old enough and veteran enough? Is he too old to just say it was just a bad game and scrub it off? Because you hear that from coaches all the time, right? Let's just burn the tape and move on. Is that doable here?
Well, they were 5-2 coming in, so it's not like they're setting the world on fire. And yeah, he'd thrown for a lot of yards, but Bo Levi has 3 more touchdown passes than him and fewer interceptions. So to say did he lead the league in passing yards? Yeah, he had a couple of 450-yard games, but he had some other games that were shaky. And again, is he an MOP player? I mean, they're 5-3 now, and that's coming back to the pack, and it's good for Rider fans because a win on Saturday for them, they can really create some distance for themselves. So again, I can't explain it, Rod. I've been in this thing a long time. I don't think I've been as stunned watching a game as I was watching that one last night. That was just bizarre.
Well, I was broadcasting baseball out here in the Western Canadian Baseball League. I didn't see that, nor the NFL Hall of Fame game, which I want to brush on with you. But on the flip side, Carlos in Indianapolis wants to know, has Winnipeg turned the corner with that statement win? Was that just like a dagger in by the Bombers, like enough's enough? They were back to their old selves. What did you see from the Blue?
Well, they played great defense. There's no doubt. I mean, but how much of it was great defense? I never got the feeling. I mean, Willie Jefferson, you noticed him more. But Dolegala threw 3 passes that he went up and batted down. And it's like, I get Dolegala's 6'8". But at some point, you look at the 6'8" guy and say, maybe I should work a different throwing lane than throwing it there. So I saw that game as BC being pathetic. I thought that Winnipeg, again, they're striving to get their identity back. Zach was, 25 of 32, I think, for a lot, over 300 yards, and he's getting a little more comfortable with his receiving core. There was a long pass to Ontario Wilson that was a big one that should have been reviewed. That was not a catch, but it was a big play for them. Oliveira, again, the more they use him, the more he's kind of the bully that leads the bullies. And even though they won that game 25-0, they didn't win it in bully fashion. Earlier this year, when they beat BC, not BC, they had won a game earlier this year, and I thought afterwards, wow, the bullies are back because they won that using bully ball. This one, it was bizarre. It was like one team just decided to send their JV team, and they had a bunch of suspensions, and everybody playing had never played before. It was just a weird feeling, that whole game.
By the way, we got to spend a minute on Montreal at Hamilton tonight. We have a lot of viewers and CFL fans in Eastern Canada. You'll remember the older, he's not old, but former kicker, Chris Milo. His dad, Franco. I just love him. I was out in Montreal. He's like, Franco's his name. He goes, Rod, I watch you on TV every day. I said, why don't you write into the show? Why don't you engage with us? Who talks to the TV? I just watched the show. But Frank, I had no idea you were watching every day. A lot of CFL fans in Eastern Canada. So, sure. Alouettes and Ticats is a biggie. I guess we're going to find out if Davis Alexander is Cinderella, like is the pumpkin turned into a carriage or whatever. That's what I'm watching for tonight.
Yeah, I thought Moose had a great point in your first segment when he said that this is a whole different ball of wax for Davis Alexander. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a solid player. But this game's going to be totally different than coming off the bench at halftime. The starting quarterback Caleb Evans, shoot, at halftime of that game, I said they got to get this guy out of there. He's killing them. And sure enough, they make the switch and it completely changes the game. Totally different thing now. They'll have watched some film of Davis. He'll be the starter, so it's on his shoulders now. Cody's not even dressing again, so he's not there. And there really is nowhere to turn because Caleb Evans obviously is in some kind of a slump. So there's a lot of pressure on Davis Alexander, which is different from when he came in off the bench. So I look at this Hamilton team, and Bo Levi, to me right now, Bo Levi is the most effective passer in the league. He's got 17 touchdowns. He's, I think, thrown 5 interceptions. He's getting comfortable with his receiving core. His receiving core is getting comfortable with him. And I think Scott Milanovic has been using formations and using a tight end and things that other people haven't used differently. He's using them very effectively in the passing game, controlling the underneath coverage and things like that. So this is a great matchup between Scott Milanovic and Noel Thorpe. And those two guys go back. They've played against each other a long time. But that, to me, is the most fascinating part of this game is how Milanovic tries to attack. Noel Thorpe is going to play everything in front of him. You're never going to blow them out. They're not going to give a bunch of huge plays. But will Hamilton be able to hold on to the ball and not turn it over? They've had, I don't know if you remember last year in the playoff game, they're playing Montreal, and they took the ball right down the field the first drive, and Keandre Smith fumbled on the 20. And they just they lost their mojo after that. But they took the ball and were just doing everything right. Against Montreal, you have to be patient, and you can't turn the ball over. If those two things happen, I think it's going to be a tough call for Davis Alexander. Jason Moss, fantastic on the other side, but you're still dealing with your backup quarterback. And I know they need Cody back, and it's kind of like Davis Sanchez said when he went down with that hamstring, is whatever it takes. They took him off the 6th game this week. Whatever it takes, give it 1 week more. And that's what I think they're doing. I think they're not even putting him on the roster because he probably, Cody, he's saying, I can play. I know I can go, coach. And they don't even want to they don't even want to mess with it. So, which I don't blame them because he's more important to them long term than to just get 1 win. But I like Hamilton tonight. I think it's a great game.
That's what got Cody in trouble in Saskatchewan. By the way, I assume you, coming back too early, I assume you read the game notes like VA, just back to VA. This popped into my head. He's on pace to be just the 5th quarterback in CFL history to throw for 6,000 yards. And it's the Mount Rushmore of there's 4 that have. Doug Flutie, my dear, sweet Ken Austin, David Archer, and Anthony Calvillo. You'd think there'd be more. You'd think Dunnigan would be on there, especially when you got a 700-yard game. So, I don't know. After last night, that might have dipped. I got to ask you about the NFL kickoff rules. They debuted last night from everybody. And I'm like, well, if you want player safety, you're not going to get excitement. What do you think about the fact they've debuted these kickoff rules in the NFL?
You know what really was disgusting, and I was flipping back and forth between the Winnipeg game, but what was really disgusting to me was they're doing it on a time when they're bringing Devin Hester into the Hall of Fame. And Devin Hester, I can remember every time he returned to kickoff, it was exciting. It was like you wanted to be on the edge of your seat. You didn't want to miss that. He was fantastic. That's not happening anymore. And that's what I thought about when I watched this thing, and I'm like, what is this? It looks like rugby sevens. I hate it. And again, I don't want people getting hurt, but this game's been played a long time without, and we talked about it when we talked about the CFL going to these rules. I think it changes the game. It changes everything. Like I say, I thought it was a perfect thing that Devin Hester's going to the Hall of Fame, and they did it on. The first game they ever did it was the Hall of Fame game when he's going in, because there will be no more Devin Hesters.
irony is what I would call it. He's the first returner to go in solely as a returner, and then you do this. What NFL training camp stories are popping out to you in the NFL?
Well, obviously the Nathan Rourke story is important and for people in Canada. The Atlanta is an interesting choice because, you know, they have Kirk Cousins, who I'm not sure he's maybe a 1-year answer, maybe 2, and then they drafted Penix, who is their long-term answer. Obviously, they drafted him in the first round, and that's going to be their long-term answer. And, you know, Nathan's hoping to become the third. I still think he's going to end up, you know, potentially back in Jacksonville. Or again, can he be the third in Atlanta? Possibly could be over Taylor Heineke. But honestly, right now in the NFL, I haven't followed a lot of it. I'm down going to camps, but I'm working so much now with TSN, I can't do that. So I'm hoping to get down to watch Buffalo and some of those teams here in the next week or so. So I'll be able to talk more about that. But we got to talk about Trey Ford. I mean,
do it.
That's the story. That's the story this week. And,
can they save him?
You know,
can he save them? Can he save them?
Personally, I don't believe so. I think their organization, it was like we talked about when they got rid of Chris Jones, when they fired him, was that going to help them? And they've gotten worse since then. Like I thought they might, because there was no friction in the locker room and things like that. It was just a change to make a change. Now this one, I do think he'll give them a bump. I think players will play a little more excited. We have to remember, this is not a rookie coming in here. This is a guy who played last year in 9 games, and he won 4 games. So he actually knows that offense better than McLeod Bethel-Thompson. So I'm expecting that he comes in, and he's going to play at his best level. I mean, it's not like we're going to have to wait. It's like, here's what you're going to get with Trey Ford. And I think he's going to have a few weeks to show what he can do. And what I think's interesting is if he plays a half and he doesn't play very well, would they go back to McLeod? I mean, nobody talks about what happens if. And again, I think Trey's going to come out and he's going to have some excitement to him. His style of play, obviously, is exciting. And if he can, again, Corey Mace played him last year when he was in Toronto. I went through that entire film. He's going to do a lot of 6-man pressure, but play zone behind. They're not going to put people in man-to-man coverage where he can get the easy big plays. They're going to make him move the ball that way. Usually the other thing that Corey did I thought was interesting was when they rush the passer. It's an old Don Matthews thing. It's called get blocked, stay blocked, meaning once you're pass protected, you stop pass rushing, and now you're going to move laterally on the line and either try to bat a ball down or scrape for the quarterback. They did a lot of get blocked, stay blocked. So if a guy's coming free, he comes. But if he's being blocked, he's going to now throttle down, and he's going to play more laterally, which will, again, to kind of contain Trey. And he did a good job of that in Toronto, containing Trey. So this is a great first game for Trey Ford. He's going to be going against a defensive coordinator that's as good as anybody in the league in Corey Mace. He's going against a guy who's played against him in Corey Mace. And Corey Mace has got the athletes to be able to stop him. So if he goes out there and lights it up, then yeah, he can bring them out. He can bring them back. But, you know, again, that's still to be seen.
For me, that's the game of the week. We have a poll every week, and Bombers-Lions actually won. But I just think the Trey Ford curiosity factor, plus being in Sask at home, for me, it's the game of the week. Jim, this has been awesome. This is why the fans look forward to it all week. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you.
The CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. When we come back, a sports update, viewer takeover all the way up to hour 2. We are live on the Game Plus television network. That is our TV partner, Canada-wide, and airing in 31 U.S. states. Our radio partner is WQEE Atlanta. We're streaming daily on YouTube, live, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Esteban and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, we're back on a Football Friday. Brought to you, as always, by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Now's the time you should be working on your shooting abilities, everybody. Stop in at OT Hockey Lanes and tell them the RP Show sent you. 28th Street Northeast in Calgary, and book your lane today, where skill and fun collide. I'm going to get to your questions and comments. It's just you and me right up to the end of hour 1 here. So 902-518-3033, the number's on the screen for those that are watching on television. And for those listening on radio, take my word for it. Here's a sports update on your Friday. The Toronto Blue Jays have signed 21-year-old pitcher Trey Yesavage, the club's 2024 first-round pick. Yesavage spent the last 3 seasons at East Carolina University. The Pirates going 11-1 this past season with an ERA of 2.03. Toronto selected the right-handed pitcher with the 20th overall pick in last month's MLB draft. The Jays visit the New York Yankees tonight. Western Canadian Baseball League Thursday night. I was at the microphone to watch the Saskatoon Berries beat the Moose Jaw Miller Express 5-4. What that means is pretty much since the first round series between Regina and Moose Jaw. How about that? Weyburn over Swift Current 17-14. Medicine Hat beat Regina 14-7. I'm going to tell you something, because Sask is still our #1 viewership region. Winnipeg's and Calgary flirt for 2 and 3. They go round and round. Edmonton's in there for 4, although Saskatoon has shot up. It's odd for me to be the voice of a team that's not Regina after so many years of being with Regina. Took me about 5 minutes to deal with it and get over it. People switch teams all the time. People switch cities all the time. It ain't a big deal, but it does take some getting used to, I'll tell you that. Lethbridge beat Brooks 6-5. Okotoks over Fort Mac 6-0. And Sylvan Lake beat Edmonton 8-0. In the Olympics, Toronto's Summer McIntosh is continuing her quest to add more medals to her Paris Olympics collection today as she heads to the semifinals of the women's 200-meter individual medley. Canada's women's soccer team is a day away from round 1 of the knockout stage, where they will face Germany in Marseille on Saturday. I see the U.S. men's soccer team got punted this morning. The Canadian men's basketball team will look to go undefeated in group play when it takes on Spain Friday. R.J. Barrett and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander lead the team in scoring with 23.5 and 18.5 points per game, respectively. Spain is led by Memphis Grizzlies center Santi Aldama's 23 points per game. Should be a gooder. And the sports update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Everybody, defeat boring Sundays. Every Sunday, kids can get out of the house and score a movie ticket and snack pack for one great low price. Every movie, every Sunday. Landmark Cinemas Kids Day. Turn the average Sunday into a movie-filled fun day. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes. Some terms and conditions apply. Children must be 13 and under and provide valid ID, and valid for new movie releases only. Which, by the way, what passes for valid ID? A library card? Does that have your age? Because I'm not trusting my kid to go down to the movie cinemas with their passport. There ain't no way that's happening. What are they using these days? I'd love to know. For those watching on the streaming, what do we got here? Buffalo Bill is watching in North Dakota. He writes in and he says, Football Friday, awesome. RP show guest, Chris Jones to be the Monday morning coach. Look, Jones doesn't like doing interviews. And I guess, here's a good one for you. When I was the voice of the Rough Riders, I know you love the stories. We had this triumvirate in the management hierarchy. We had Chris Jones, Jeremy O'Day, and John Murphy. And I don't really know what was going on behind the scenes. What I do know is it seemed like they were fighting for airtime to come on my radio show. And it was internally. And if I'm wrong, if I'm lying, I am crying, and I ain't shed a tear. But it was like, I don't know. They were like fighting over each other to get on the air. And I'm like, I'm just hosting the show. So one day we were flying somewhere, gonna fly somewhere, and our charter jet was at the hangar at the airport, and I showed up on my own. I was the first of the media contingent, and the only guy on the plane was Jones. He's the only guy, sitting in the front row. And in retrospect, I kind of feel bad because he was having a moment of solitude, which you don't usually get as a pro football coach. But I sat down beside him, and I'm like, Coach, I understand there's a problem internally with who's going to come on my show. So can we set some sort of schedule, or what are we going to do about this? He gives me that look, which, by the way, he and Don Matthews, it's funny, Jim Barker brought up Matthews last segment. They have the same look of extreme unimpressiveness, unimpressed, extremely unimpressed with you. Looks at me and he goes, all right. Got his shades on, right? All right. How often are you on the air? Every day, Coach. Every day. Kind of surprised you don't know this, but you do also have to coach a football team, I guess. I'm on the air every day. Well, how about this? Every Monday, you'll have one of us. One Monday it's J.O., one Monday it's me, and one Monday it's Murph. That gonna work for you? Well, I guess it's your team. It's your choice. And then I don't think I had any of them ever again. To be honest, here we go.
Oh, no.
How about this?
I
We're good,
like
Coach.
it.
Just win. Ryan in upstate New York says Chef Barker is always cooking. Wayne in Victoria, BC. Great analysis from Jim Barker. Any more stories you'd like? I got a million. We'll come back with more viewer takeover right after this. Moose returns in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, as always, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world, with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20. See you in the state tip.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody. I don't know what we call this segment. Viewer takeover, I guess, right? That's what the lady in Winnipeg, was it Natasha in Winnipeg, said? I want to hear from you, Winnipeg. 902-518-3033. Big win last night. You're all pretty quiet over there. You all hung over today? Brought to you in part by the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, your hub for sports, fitness, and community fun. Check us out at goldenticketsportscenter.com. Wayne in BC says, yes, Rod, keep the stories coming. I love them. Well, they just spontaneously come up. So you gotta let me know what you want. Buffalo Bill says, thanks for story time. Randy in Winnipeg says, Canada up by 5 with 4 minutes left over Spain. I don't know how you all have the capacity to follow all this stuff. I need to just narrow it down. I'm sitting here thinking, I got into baseball this summer, and I really enjoy it. And, you know, you got to talk about rule changes here. Baseball hasn't changed any rules. God bless the people that run baseball in the world. There's very few rule changes over the year. The pitch clock and bigger bases. We're good. And putting a guy on second base in extra innings. Other than that, very easy to broadcast and follow baseball. So I'm like, hockey, football, baseball, I don't need any more. The Olympics for 2 weeks, yeah, but I'm not going to sit here surfing my phone checking soccer scores and basketball. Sorry. Allie in Texarkana. Ha, 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 Rod, LOL. What did I say that's funny now? Utah Darren writes in and he says, for the NFL to change a rule is monumental. This kickoff thing is going to be around for a while, so just relax and accept it. Don't worry, coaches will adapt and find a way to make it work. That's the real juxtaposition in my life, is how sports operates is so different from the way you're supposed to operate, what's right in the world. Sports is literally all about ego. And I'll give you an example. It took so long for the NFL to adopt this XFL kickoff rule. And in the end, I kind of wonder why they even did. I think that it took so long because it wasn't their idea. Don't we see that all the time? Canadian television networks fought for years putting the shot clock up on the top of the screen because a U.S. network did it first. On my mother's grave, I believe that's a thing. The Canadian sports networks got out-thunked, out-creatived by the U.S. networks and didn't want to put the shot clock up there until it got to a point where they had to, because how much better is it to have the shot clock up there? It's life-changing. So Utah Darren's right. With the NFL that changed the kickoff rule, it took a lot, and for them to admit it wasn't their idea, the XFL came up with it, would be very hard for them to do. So at the very least, they finally admitted it. Allie in Texarkana says, I am just ready for hockey. Is it October yet? I know, Allie, I'm the same, but I'm going to tell you what I'm telling everybody else. Please don't focus on what isn't and be grateful for what is, what's going on in your world right now. I'm pining for it too. But I'm just thinking about baseball. I'm just sitting here going, in my world, what I'm being paid for, the most important thing is baseball, and we got the playoffs up ahead. What's the most important thing in yours? Miss it if you want, but I'm not going to spend time on that. It's going to be fun. Hour 2 coming up after this. A lot of CFL after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We're downtown on the weekend, downtown Toronto, and I was about to turn right when in the rearview mirror I noticed a cyclist coming right by, hit the brakes, narrowly avoided hitting him. He turned, waved at me, said thank you. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was a near-death experience. I thought I was going to end up in the news.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show. It's a football Friday. It's one of the greatest days of the week. I have, obviously, football fans going, I just can't wait for Fridays. They're special, and that's what we do here. Moose is back from vacation. You did miss a lot, Moose. Here we can sort of ease off the gas a little bit. Last hour was high octane. We went through last night's Blue Bombers 25-0 upset win over the BC Lions. Darren and I talked about the Pro Football Hall of Fame game last night. Chicago Bears over Houston, 21-17. Brett Rippon scores 3 touchdowns for the Bears. We won't even see him all year, probably. Caleb Williams didn't even see the field. Hall of Fame weekend in the NFL. I can't wait for it. You and I talked a bit about the Ticats and Alouettes, and we went through all of that with Jim Barker. And we brought in the viewers as well. Can I read off a few questions or comments, Darren, before we go back to you? Where do we start it? Like, the rule changes last night for the kickoffs were on full display in the NFL last night, and they're kind of, it's about 50-50. That is the poll question. Do you like the new NFL kickoff rules? I don't have time to catch everybody up to speed. Go Google it and get back to me if you didn't see it last night. It's all in the highlights, and it's 50-50, yes or no, whether you like it or not. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, and he says, the NFL has been breaking things that didn't need fixing for the past 15 to 20 years. But it did need fixing. Carlos, come on. Only 1 in 5 kickoffs were returned last year. Right on 20%. They want returns. There were 8 returns last night, Darren. Not one, though, went past the 36-yard line. So that's a topic. Vince writes in, he says, last night a couple of CFL players clunked heads pretty bad on the kickoff. Maybe the NFL has something a bit safer in this new version. Yeah, they got it from the XFL. That's the whole idea. It's not going to be as exciting. let's start there before we, trust me, we'll get to the CFL games. Is this progress or not? I'd like to think that it is.
Yeah, I'd like to think this is progress too, Rod. I mean, we're going to see kickoffs return. You said 8 of them last night. That's the idea. We want more kickoffs returned, and this is going to help that. It's also going to avoid those really high-end collisions. And I think what we're going to see, like, we're going to learn what this is going to do for the returns, right? Like you said, there wasn't a big return last night. These new rules, will it limit the big return? It might, but they're at least going to be returned. And maybe there will be another Devin Hester that goes to the Hall of Fame, 15 years from now. I don't know if we group in the onside kick with this, because I like the kickoff returns, hate the onside kick rules. But so far, I think the more we can keep the ball in play and have exciting returns and give young players a chance to be on the field, I think it's exciting.
Yeah, and so go look up the kickoff rules. I don't want to get into it here because it's too tedious for those that a lot of people already know, and if you don't know, you don't really care. But the one thing with onside, if you haven't taken the time to figure it out, you don't care enough. But the onside kicks, what's new is you have to declare to the officials you're going to do it and to the other team. And to be honest, was it once out of every 5 years a team tries to surprise the other, like coming out for the second half kickoff and going with an onside kick? Like, they still know anyways. It's not that big of a change in my mind. Allie in Texarkana wrote in. She said she's really missing hockey. I said, please think about something else. That's all I could advise you on that. Taylor in Calgary writes in. He says, I don't miss hockey at all, knowing how bad the Flames are supposed to be this year. I kind of lose excitement for it. And that's the thing. Ups and downs, up and... Well, we can't adjust what we talk about because of what individual fan bases are feeling about their own particular team. That's why we're going to talk about what we talk about. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, this is the greatest day of the week. And I agree. Football Fridays here on the RP Show. I'm not getting into Olympics. Keep it out. It's Football Friday. For the love of God, are you listening? I'm not talking about the Olympics. We covered it. To the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I'll say it again. It starts noon Eastern on NFL Network. That's 10 a.m. out here for us Mountain. And I read off the class. I will again. As Darren said, he's starting to get into it because these are players that he followed in the NFL. Dwight Freeney, his devastating spin move led to 125.5 career sacks and a Super Bowl ring with the 06 Colts. I'll never forget, Cal Murphy was on the staff. He was scouting for those Colts. And whether this is true or not, I don't know. But Cal and I used to spend a lot of time together. He was the head coach of the Rough Riders of the first season. I was the voice of the team back in 1999. Anybody that knows Cal, which I don't think you would have, Darren, is before your time, but he had a very distinct way of talking. So and he was living in Saskatchewan, so we were around each other a lot. He goes, there's never been a kickoff return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. There's never been. As it turns out, I think he's wrong. I think there have been many. But anyways, he was working for the Colts, and they were playing the Bears in the Super Bowl. And I think it was the very first kickoff of the game. Devin Hester returned it for a touchdown. I was, well, there you go, Cal. But his Colts ended up winning, and he won a Super Bowl. Anyways, diverting the stories there. Devin Hester going into the Hall of Fame. Andre Johnson, the first ever Houston Texan to go in. Randy Gradishaw, he led the Broncos' famed Orange Crush defense that spearheaded the Broncos' first AFC championship in 1977. Patrick Willis going in. Steve McMichael going in. Suffering from ALS now, I believe. That's quite a story there. And Julius Peppers going in, a great with the Panthers and the Bears. I'll say it one more time. This is special to me. I'll spend a lot of time on Saturday watching it because it's just, they so do it right. Did I ask you, are you going to watch it on NFL Network tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm hoping I can watch it. It's going to be awesome. I do like these things. It's special. It's really special, and it should make you feel good.
That's what I mean. I mean, I've been around enough gatherings of former football players and hockey players and baseball players now that it's not necessarily that special when they do it every weekend, but when it's the Hall of Fame and they bring back all the Hall of Famers that are still alive and they put them in their gold blazers and they seat them all on the stage together, I just get weak in the knees, man. And back to these guys talking about the NFL changing the kickoffs and breaking things that didn't need to be fixed. No, the kickoffs did need to be fixed. And I'll say it one more time. At $13 billion revenue, how can you say the NFL is doing anything wrong? And remember, Darren and I were at the Super Bowl 3 years ago in L.A. I went to the Mike Ditka, Ron Jaworski Super Bowl party. You were my chauffeur. Tickets were too expensive for two, so you were nice enough to drive me there. It's a different world. This would be a good segue. And trust me, we're going to get into the game's next segment with Darren. We made our picks yesterday. Darren sent his in absentia. We still need to talk a little bit more about Nathan Rourke. And there are people that are upset in Canada now going, now they've realized he's not going to come back to the CFL till it's his very last option. And now they're pissed off at him. And they're like, stop talking about Nathan Rourke. Let's talk about the players that are here. We'll talk about what we want to talk about, bro. But you remember what I said about that NFL party? I'm like, Darren, whoa. Just the money, the royalty, the NFL is a rarefied air. I didn't tell you. Did I tell you about this when I was with Andrew Green yesterday? He was like, how do you like? You down there in Miami when he played for the Dolphins? He was like, how about those Miami women? That was what, that was the, Andrew's like, what about those Miami women? Oh, I said, I'm not going to the same places that you were, Drew, when you played for the Dolphins for 3 years. And I only need one. I don't need, but I'm just saying, here's what the Nathan Rourke. It ain't comparable. It's not comparable. Like John Ryan and certain guys have said, the only difference between the NFL and the CFL is money. I don't agree. I don't agree. You can see why Nathan Rourke, I think you saw enough of the NFL at the Super Bowl to realize that I can see why Nathan Rourke is doing every single possible thing he can to stay just to be on a practice roster. I can. I don't understand why a lot of people can't see that.
Well, it's just cool to be around. And, when you're around the pros and having that taste. I was talking to a young hockey player who had been playing pro overseas and, making some decent money. And now potentially coming back to go in the East Coast League, where he'll make less money than he was making overseas and probably have less playing time and a little bit less. But by coming back to the East Coast League, he's going to get to go to an NHL training camp, potentially get some touches in the American Hockey League. And the closer you are to the sun, the better chance you have of being caught on fire, right? So you want to be close to the pinnacle. In hockey, it's the NHL, and in football, it's the NFL. The closer you are, whether that's a practice roster, the better.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this program today. From WQEE's Ryan O'Radio, he's flying the ship down there. He runs the whole place. He is the man around here. Ryan O'Radio, trust me. He says Steve McMichael, also former wrestling announcer and WCW U.S. champion, Four Horsemen member. I don't even know what that means. You might as well be talking Mandarin to me, but I'll repeat it. Yeah, great story going into the Hall of Fame, Steve McMichael, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jeremy in Winnipeg says going to an NFL game is way different than a CFL game. No comparisons. There used to be, and I don't know what it is. I think we're always going to have to just relent and realize there's always going to be those comparisons. I feel like they were close at one time, but they're not close anymore, and just realize it is what it is. It was over 10 years ago when I started going to NFL games on the reg. Going every single NFL game is a Grey Cup. Everyone. Flyovers, parades, marching bands around everyone is a Grey Cup. Everyone. That's just the way that it is. And when I look at it's inexcusable to me that the Canadian Football Hall of Fame induction is not televised anywhere in Canada. It's inexcusable. But eventually you just get tired of beating the drum and just go and just move on. It's a shame to the guys that are going into the Hall of Fame that they're not recognized in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame anywhere in Canada. I lost. Mike's watching in Winnipeg at Ice Time Sports. He says, hashtag Coach Cal, hashtag winner. Oh, Cal Murphy was a beaut. He was an absolute beaut, Cal Murphy. Okay, they said they loved the stories. Did I tell you the story about Cal Murphy throwing a chair at me? You must have heard that story.
No.
We were playing Riders at Argonauts 1999. We had a 2-hour walkthrough in pads the day before the game. Crashing heads at a damn walkthrough the day before the game in Toronto. And, of course, I'm the same age as the players. So there I'm out with them the night before the game, and they're telling me how mad they are at Cal that they made him practice for 2 hours in pads in a damn walkthrough. It's Guy Dome. And, of course, like me, I said it on the air. I think we were getting throttled by the Argos that day. That was the season we were 3-15. We're losing like 47-3 at halftime. And I'm like, I guess that 2-hour walkthrough really did a lot for the guys. We get back to Regina, and I get called into a meeting. I'm just tired of those meetings. Cal Murphy and Al Ford. And Cal Murphy, he had the neck that shook. He just did, okay? Everybody knows. And he's like, who told you that? Who told you? Who said that? Rashovich and who? And I said, I'm not telling you who told me. Thump! And he threw a chair at me that looked just like this. It looked just like this.
Yeah.
And it went right over my head. Thank God. See, boys? Thank God he was only 26 years of age. Or I was only 26. He was like 66. And I'm like, whew.
You had the agility.
Yeah. And then he get up and stormed out of the room. I wouldn't tell him. It was Rich Young, the linebacker. Wasn't even Raz. It wasn't even with Raz. And then Al Ford walks by and he's laughing. And he goes, ha, ha, ha. His bark's way worse than his bite. And I'm sitting there, this 25-year-old farm kid. What just happened? That doesn't happen in hockey. They mentally torture you in hockey. In football, they'll physically destroy you.
Yeah, they don't hide anything in football. They just let it out at you.
Yes. You know Mike Abu-Meshrik. We all know Abu. I was talking to his kid, Caleb, in Calgary. He's a soccer player. And I said, okay, Caleb. He's like 13 now, maybe 14. I said, what are the kids like in your school? What are the athletes like? Because he's a soccer player. He's like, oh, the soccer players are chill. I said, what are the hockey players like? He goes, oh, they're all jerk. What are the football players like? He goes, they're aggressive. I'm like, yep. Nothing's changed. Utah Darren writes in and he says, Kevin Costner describing the majors to the other players in Bull Durham, explaining why the majors are a big deal. I'd have to go back and watch that movie again. I don't remember that, but I will say this. Before we break, those guys I was waving to were all the Millers players coming in. And, oh, my God, another great experience of my life is broadcasting these games. And I see where there's been some movies about baseball. This team is a streaming series on Netflix. We could call it We're the Millers. Although I think there's been one. But just the drama that goes on with a minor league baseball team. I'm just sitting out there. I'm just hearing it. Not part of it for the first time in my life. And one of the moms wrote me from Texas yesterday, and she's like, Rod, I just want to tell you I really appreciate your equality in broadcasting. You're unbiased towards either team, and it just makes it so much more easier to listen to, enjoyable. And I'm like, you should have known me 20 years ago, Brandy. Not so nice, and literally wanting to burn down the other team's stadium and flatten all the tires on their bus. This is a better way to live. I'm just going to tell you that. This is a better way. We will be back. We are live on the Game Plus television network. That's our television partner, streaming on YouTube, our radio partner, WQEE in Atlanta. I don't think we're done yet with the Nathan Rourke thing. I want to talk about NFL preseason and, of course, more on this weekend's CFL games because it is a football Friday, and Reid Johnson's coming up from the MarkCast later on. We'll be right back, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody, we're brought to you in part by Saskatoon's Battle for Recovery. Join award-winning recovery speakers like singer Shaylin Fox, podcaster Daniel Hearn, Dr. Wendy Gore-Hickman, and Hall of Fame broadcaster and sober coach Rod Pedersen at TCU Place in Saskatoon as we celebrate recovery and share experiences from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday, August 30th. For tickets, go to empowertorecover.com. That's the number 2, empowertorecover.com. Moose is back from vacation. He's dipping in here from the text line 902-518-3033. Kirk in Toronto says, hi, Rod. Sorry, no hockey talk on Football Fridays in the summer. What are you telling me what to do, guy? We're not talking hockey. From Vintage Sasko, he writes in, he says, solid show. Been discussed before, but would you be all in broadcasting flag football at the 2028 Olympics? Signed, Vintage Sasko in Wadena. I have no idea, man. People plan and God laughs. Last summer, Moose and I and Serena were working for USA Football. This summer, I'm working in the Western Canadian Baseball League. That's 25, 26, 27, 28. That's 4 summers away. So I literally have no idea. What happened, Moose? Did your lights go off?
It's something. My camera is just doing something funny. So I'm not sure what it is.
Is it telling joke?
No money, no funny.
Come on, guys. That's funny. His camera's doing something funny. Okay. Is it making faces?
Hope I sound good.
And I'm thinking, no. You didn't say your microphone wasn't working. So Sherry in Edmonton, who watches this show almost every day, she has sent me a whole bunch of photos of Trey Ford, and they're awesome. And I'm like, I'm just not technically inclined. I'm okay, but I'm not great. I'm better than your average guy. Like, she does a really good job. So she sent me those, and I'm trying to get them downloaded from Google Drive to this. Oh, my God. It's an operator error. It's all me. It's my fault. I'll figure it out. We're not doing Olympic updates, Jug. Jeff in Winnipeg writes in, he says, long time no see, RP show. Hope all is well. All is great, buddy. We're above the grass. We opened our eyes this morning. That's a win. Bombers, Lions aside, that was voted yesterday as Wednesday as the game of the week from our viewers. But it turned out to be, unless you're a Bomber fan, a major dud. 25-0 Winnipeg. And for those that just tuned in, because apparently a lot have, the Bombers are 3-6. Who cares about the record? They're going to be heard from in the end. Their season's half over. It's August 2nd. That, I think, is the breaking news out of the whole thing here. The CFL season's like half over, and nobody's realized it. That's the one thing. Tonight, Montreal and Hamilton. Now, you and I both pick Montreal. You said you're waffling a bit. We have the rule that you can change your pick up to kickoff, right? that's what we do here.
Yeah.
You just got to, you need to inform the others. Yeah, you need to inform the others. What?
You know, I want to make a change. I want to change my pick.
Fine.
Let's make a change. I'm going to take Hamilton.
It's all good. Okay.
I like this kid at quarterback, but I just think it's a mental thing. And this isn't going to, I don't want to take anything away from him. But when you come in off the bench, you can play free. There's nothing to lose. The coach is looking at you and saying, look, this wasn't the plan. So don't worry. No expectations. Just go out there and ball. Show us what you can do. And that's what he does. But now he's the starter. And now it's like, look, there's a game plan.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to make sure you distribute the ball and you can't make mistakes. And now you're responsible for the win. And I think that puts a whole new pressure on a player. I really do. And I think Bo's playing well. I think Hamilton's, moving in the right direction. So I like the Ticats this week.
I think it makes a huge difference. And Jim Barker eloquently talked about that too. That's not to say that he's not going to perform well. We don't know. They're putting tests in front of him, right? It's the same with the Riders.
It'd be great.
Yeah, it's the same with Riders and Corey Mace. I mean, every single day when I come down here to the Golden Ticket Sports Center, I look at these billboards that the Riders have up here, and it's all about Corey Mace. Corey Mace, he's the man. There's a lot of pressure on the guy. But the guy that I talked to yesterday, a CFL icon in a lot of ways. He's an icon to me. He's a huge believer in Corey Mace, which, by the way, that's another thing where Calgary has been raided. Dinwiddie gone. Corey Mace gone. He went, through Toronto to get here. It's like he's flying WestJet or something. Go from Calgary to Regina. We're sending you through Toronto. That sounds about right. But he just keeps getting all these tests. He keeps passing them all. And Saturday's just the latest. Trey Ford starting at quarterback for Edmonton. You picked Edmonton. You're not changing that, are you?
No, I'm not. I think Trey Ford, this is a little different. Trey Ford has started. He's just sitting there chomping at the bit, waiting for his opportunity. And when he got it last year, he put some wins together for Edmonton. When he got into the game, he looked pretty good, but that was garbage time. We don't want to take too much away from that. I just think this could be a real spark for Edmonton. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think this is a spark that they've needed for a while.
You're staying with Edmonton.
I am.
Yep. So that's what I want to make this clear. Last week, as you know, you had a 3-1 week. I had a 1-3 week. And I saw some pundit say, did the CFL get flipped on its head this weekend? Like it didn't make sense. But you came out on top in the pool last week. So kudos to you. And I took a picture of our picks just so there was no monkey business going on. Right? And we're doing the same thing here. You can change your pick right up to kickoff time. I don't think that's not unreasonable. Taylor in Calgary writes in, and he says, wish the Stampeders would have gone for Lucky Whitehead. That guy still got game. That's, by the way, the other thing. I'm just sitting back as a fan. I don't want to know the inside. I don't know why Lucky Whitehead was sitting on the street. It made no sense to me. And why BC didn't re-sign him. And before that, Winnipeg. But then, was he a bad guy? Well, then why would Winnipeg bring him back? Sports is out of control. It's nuts and really hard to predict right now. Extremely hard to predict. And I just want to dip on something else for a second with these NFL games. So we had the Hall of Fame game Thursday night. I get people are going, I'm not watching. It's only preseason. That's all cool, man. I think we really need to go back to you do you, I'll do me. I'll watch what I want to watch and quit poo-pooing others for what they want to watch. You know what I mean? Because Mark Rippon's nephew, Brett Rippon, had a big game. Threw for 3 touchdowns for the Bears. And ideally, we'll never see him again all year. They don't want to see him again because Caleb Williams is the man, but he didn't play, nor did C.J. Stroud. It's also all about the pomp and the circumstance and Hall of Fame weekend, and we covered earlier why it upsets me that the CFL doesn't do that and never has for its Hall of Fame. Moving on. But as far as the rest of the NFL games, again, this is salacious and delicious, and let's not forget we air in 31 U.S. states. They don't even play again until next Thursday. The league. There's 2 preseason games next Thursday, so it's a whole week of gobbledygook on NFL Network and The Athletic and wherever you get your NFL news. Carolina Panthers at New England Patriots on Thursday night. Detroit Lions at New York Giants. And then Friday, Atlanta Falcons at the Miami Dolphins. Does Nathan Rourke play? I doubt it. But literally, who knows? I'm not even going to go through all the games. My point is we got to wait a week. And as much as I enjoy sitting on the couch, when I am on the couch, because it's not often, watching NFL Network, I like the training camp tours they do because I like the scenery. I like watching. I think we all do. But how much stock are you putting into preseason training camp? It's not even preseason. I guess it's officially started last night, but training camp news. There's not a lot of news. A few holdouts, a few injuries. What else is there?
Yeah, that's what you're going to see. And we're seeing more and more veteran players playing less and less in the preseason. They used to play a little bit.
Yeah.
Now they're not playing much at all. And they're talking about Aaron Rodgers not playing at all in the preseason. And, just wanting to make sure he's healthy. I think that's one big storyline because of what happened last year. Just a few snaps into the game. We're all on pins and needles every time he'll take his first few snaps and make his first throws with the Jets this year. For my Titans, DeAndre Hopkins hurt his knee yesterday in practice, or on Wednesday in practice. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, and we all got to kind of like, oh my gosh. But then you realize that's the preseason. And 4 to 6 weeks means he's probably only going to miss a week or 2 of the regular season, which isn't so bad. But that's kind of where things are at right now. It's people making predictions. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about who to take in fantasy drafts because that's going to happen over the next month. But for the most part, it's about getting to week 1.
Sometimes I wonder if I make too much of it or if that's why people tune into this show and we're the top-rated talk show on Game Plus TV. I don't know. My point is how sports is changing because I can tell you the coaches and the management people, everybody is on board with how it's changing. Do the fans realize how much it's changing? That's why Jim Barker and I get along because we're both secure so we can argue and not get upset. Like the Bombers starting 0-4 and everybody thinks the season, it's ending. But if you take that out, they're 3-2 since, right? Yeah, since the 0-4 start. Well, you didn't play any of your vets in the preseason. You didn't have them hitting in training camp because you can't do that anymore. It's going to take longer to get your act together in any football league, right? But it's just my point with that is Jim wants to just go down the rabbit hole. So look at every single battle, every one-on-one. That's what they do. And I just think you get fixated on that. If you back out and look at the big picture, it's going to take time. He knows that.
Yeah.
Is that what you see? Because that's what I see.
Sure. Yeah, it is. It's going to take time. And for things that we do and in our audience, you don't always understand the minuscule, details. Not that it's over their head or anything, but, you do have to look back at the big picture and understand it is going to take time and it's a process. I go back to Tom Brady when he was in Tampa, and the year they won the Super Bowl. It took some time. It took half the year for them to figure out how he operates, get the offense moving, getting everybody, pulling and pushing in the same direction. And then by the time they got into the second half of the season, they were a well-oiled machine and away they go. You need to play good football all year round. but you need to be in a position to make the playoffs, and you need to be building towards playing your best football at the end of the year. Look at the Montreal Alouettes and the run they went on late in the season last year and into the playoffs. That's what you want to do. You want to be building towards it.
Reid Johnson will be great next, and we can talk about all these topics and more. Utah Darren writes in, he says, I watched the NFL preseason to see who's coming to the UFL. Jeff in Winnipeg says, I'm praying for my Arizona Cardinals to be relevant this season. Dale in Winnipeg says, good day, all. Fantastic Friday show as always. Jack and I are going camping. Going to watch the Sea Bears by the campfire. Have a great weekend. You too, Dale. I love your support of the CEBL. The play-in games are tonight, by the way. Ottawa at Scarborough and Winnipeg at Calgary. To be honest, it's a little confusing for me. It shouldn't be, but I'm dumb. I'm dumb. But Kyler Murray's saying he's all excited and refreshed and ready to lead the Cardinals. I'm like, I would hope. It's like, is it year 7 for Kyler Murray? Because I know this, the older you get, the faster time goes. I think it's year 7. I would hope you're finally ready, Kyler. We were hoping you were 7 years ago. Thanks for joining us. You know, to the people that come into the meeting late. Thanks for joining us. We've been here meeting. Thanks, Kyler. I think we're done. Well, okay, one more. Robert in Vegas writes in. He says, NFL has neutered their special teams. But player safety, concussions. We don't want anybody to get hurt. You can't have it both ways. Bye, Darren.
Have a good weekend.
We'll see what Reid Johnson has next from the MarkCast. That's always good. We're live here on Game Plus Television, our television carrier, which we air on TDS Cable. Game Plus out there in Oregon and Washington State. Our radio partner is WQEE Atlanta. We're always streaming live on YouTube daily, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Just a couple of comments here. Ken in Mississauga writes in, he says, I wonder how the 8 UFL teams with no player ratio would fare against CFL teams. Reid Johnson from the MarkCast. Ken woke up and chose violence. He woke up and chose violence, Reid. What do you think?
I'm good, Rod. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Hey, before we get to Ken's comment, what's up with you, bro? How are you? Traveling all over? Where are you at today?
Rod, I'm at the Copley Plaza Fairmont Hotel here in Boston. Only the best for you. Last time I was at T-Mobile Arena, the Golden Knights there for the Stanley Cup banner raising, and I'm here, brought out all the stops. Wanted to have the nicest backdrop I could for you.
I'm so excited. The wedding video business must be just boffo in Seattle. You're just traveling all over. It's booming.
Yeah, here for the Mariners. Yeah, here for the Mariners. Saw some baseball games, Fenway Park, and now we're flying back here tonight. So,
was the Justin Turner deal the best deal on MLB trade deadline day? That's what I'm hearing.
I was pretty excited. He got an RBI, the first at bat for that. Caught one over the dugout, and then we obviously got who else did we get? Randy Land from Tampa. So it's been exciting, and it was good. Mariners made some moves.
Okay, I guess they went there. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to go there. I follow a lot of what you do, and I feel like you follow a lot of what I do. I've never heard the notion of CFL versus UFL. One game. Let's settle it. Have you talked about this? Because I haven't, but I'm fascinated by the concept.
No, I think it's funny. I think there's a lot of overlap back and forth. I mean, obviously you get players, the NFL and everything, and the top 1% and everything else moving on. I mean, you'd have to give CFL teams by a mile at this point. I mean, there's too much talent there. I know we make jokes and everything about the other leagues and whatnot, but CFL is incredible. The teams, we can talk about some of the teams not succeeding as well, like the Lions last night. But no, I can't do that apples to apples, but I know that people like that. They like to make the comparisons.
Well, I think the average age of the CFL, I'm just totally spitballing, I think is like 28. And I think the average age of the UFL would be 23. It's kind of what you're saying, right?
Well, and you get Nathan Rourke. I mean, that's a whole different thing. And with the Falcons and all that, I mean, if he doesn't want to go back to the CFL, play the UFL, do a season there, get some tape, get an apples to apples comparison. You always hear that with the scouts, that they don't look at the CFL game as a direct correlation there. Hey, I mean, it wouldn't do any worse than sitting on the sidelines as the fourth quarterback in Atlanta or whatever the heck that's going to be. I mean, that's crazy. I still can't figure that out.
Yeah? Why?
Well, of any team in the entire NFL for Nathan Rourke to go to, and God bless him, Jacksonville, and that was fine, and playing behind Trevor Lawrence, but you've got Kirk Cousins making $1 billion there. You got Taylor Heineke, former XFL quarterback, with the Commanders as well, and then you got Penix here from UW. I mean, I watched Penix play the last however many seasons for UW. Like, that's where you're going to go. It's fine. I don't think he's going to see, the field at all. He may be in preseason here, and then maybe they'll cut him, but I would go back and I would be a star in Canada. I would take a king's ransom. I would go to BC. I know they made that deal before, but you could be the face of the Canadian sports for the next, decade, or you can go sit and hold a clipboard. Yeah. But God bless him if that wants to be his journey.
Yeah. I just love the debate. right? It's his life, and he's making his decision on it. Will he regret it? I literally have no idea. I don't know if a 26-year-old, because, by the way, he's getting a little old to say that he's young, or for anybody to say that he's young. It's a lifestyle thing. And listen, the NFL comparison, lifestyle versus the CFL lifestyle, it ain't a comparison. It ain't in really any regard. So, by the way, John Ohm writes in, he says, RJ is looking dope. Is that a good thing?
Well, I would take my Mariner shirt over that hideous logo you have on your chest. So I think I would.
Yeah,
I'll take that in.
You are choosing violence. You are choosing violence today. And by the way, Jen, hey, Jen, for the Four Seasons, she says, well, gotta go. Enjoy the long weekend, y'all. Go Riders. How much do you love the Lions? You love the Mariners. You love the Commanders. You love your team. You love the Kraken. Where are the Lions in your, do you have room in your heart to be upset about what happened last night?
I was pretty pissed. I obviously wasn't watching the game every snap here. We're in Boston, but it's pretty ridiculous. And I love Rick Campbell. He's been on the show. We talk on our podcast all the time. I don't know if he is the one to get the Lions over the hump. Going into the bye week, I think he said, if you're upset, you have that good, be upset going into the break. I was upset going into the bye week, and I'm even more upset now to get shut out there, to get, 4 first downs. Vernon's hurt, you can't protect him at all. I don't understand, and I don't have a lot of faith in Rick Campbell right now, and I would be really embarrassed for the BC Lions to be hosting the Grey Cup and potentially not be in a position to be in it.
I'm writing down your quote. I don't know if Rick Campbell is the one to get the Lions over the hump. That will be appearing on social media near you. Yeah. No, I'm not. You're not trashing him. I mean, you said it. I mean, at least he has won before, but you make a really good point about them hosting the Grey Cup. That used to be a thing. We'd kind of like to be in the game when we host the Grey Cup. I go back to when the Riders hosted it in 2022. They won 6 games, missed the playoffs, and they got executives of the team going, well, we forecasted a down year. What? Who's believing this? Yeah.
No, and I watch all of Rick's post games in the locker room, and well, guys, and I know we have a good team here, and I know we're going to. I would like a little more fire at this point. I think this is kind of make or break. This is your window with Vernon and everything else. If not now, when you were talking before the break, Lucky Whitehead's now in Winnipeg, that would have been cool to have. So it is what it is, but it is disappointing because that's our team. I mean, we're going to be a Grey Cup. We have our flights booked. We're going to be there, and you would certainly like to see Vernon Adams, going down the field to score.
Dude, that's how I know that our soul's connected. You're like me. We're basically fans that know a little more than the average Joe that have a show. Here we are. But I'm not also going to be connected and worry about what I say. And that's exactly what you are. And, I want to wind this up on this, although I'm not done on the CFL versus UFL thing. I think we got to make this happen. But on the kickoffs and the NFL preseason games in general, I don't really care about who won last night, but I love seeing Bears fans just razzed, and I love seeing Texans fans razzed. And NFL, that's what it's about. And you razzing me about my beautiful jacket and the puke yellow the Commanders that you wear. That's what's fun about it. It ain't about stats right now.
I see a lot of CFL people making fun of the NFL kickoff. I would expect to see that move north here very soon if that's successful in the NFL. I know people criticized it last night. It was the first one, right? I don't think special teams coordinators are going to be giving away all their tricks and everything here going into, preseason Hall of Fame game. But if it works, Sam Schwartzstein, who made the rule, he's been on the show. He's a friend of mine. He invented the kickoff. I mean, he has the patent for it. I expect to see that moving north if it's successful in the NFL, and I expect it to be.
Wait. Because you are, your term, not mine, an alternative football league aficionado. The XFL, the first incarnation, was putting the ball at midfield and having 2 guys run and get it. Was it not?
Correct.
Wasn't that was the first one?
Yes.
So then the second incarnation, is what the NFL's adopted. So does he get a financial benefit for this?
He's taken a lot of pride in this. This is really, really exciting to see. I will say, and talk about egg on the face of the UFL not using the kickoff now when they could have had a whole season of it to kind of show people what it looks like, them adopting the NFL kickoff. And then, we had Darryl Johnson on our show, and he goes, well, we wanted it to look like a more traditional kickoff. The NFL isn't using the NFL kickoff anymore, so that's talking about egg on the face there. But no, it's awesome. To think that you put your stamp on the history of football, I think is really cool. And I think to have it be in the new Madden game that came out, and all the the ESPN talking about it, I think it's a pretty cool thing. And it's cool to see alternative football leagues like they did with the Sky Cam. The XFL did that back in 2001. The NFL adopted that. It's just more, it's just more of those kind of. Innovations going in right now. I think players are going to be required to do sideline interviews during the NFL game. Guess where that came from? Came from the XFL. Came from Brock Heward running around doing interviews back in 2020.
This is where I have to give in because I don't like talking about rule changes. I don't like talking about officiating, but I know everybody else does, so I will. And Jay writes in, Jay Roth, he says, I can't see the CFL changing the kickoff rule. What are they going to do? Change the rule of running out a missed field goal too? Come on. Do we want to make a bet? Because I'm with you, Reid. I'm with you. I think they'll have to.
I think they'll have to. Yeah, and I think it's going to be good. I think last night is not indicative of what that's going to look like moving forward. I think that teams, even with the XFL back in 2020, it really took till, and obviously COVID and everything, but it took weeks to kind of get all this figured out and going. The NFL, they got the smartest people in the world figuring out these rules. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be explosive, and it's safer anyway. I know you poo-pooed the player safety before, but I don't want to see 19 of 20 touchbacks every game. That's not exciting. So at least the ball's in play.
I'm for player safety. Come on, they're my friends. I'm just saying don't bitch about the kickoffs and then also bitch about player safety. You cannot have both. That's all that I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying. Listen, Reid, go enjoy Beantown. My best to your wonderful wife, Dorothy. I love the classic name. I'll never forget it, man. She is an absolute gem. But you know that. You married her.
I think that's the only reason why Farhan and Naylor and some of these guys talk to me. So that I'll take it to the bank.
Hey, I know it, bro. I know how it is. Okay, go have fun. Thanks for the time today, man. Great job.
Yeah.
Reid Johnson from the MarkCast. I just really, really like that guy. And he also ain't afraid to muck it up. Okay, overtime's next. I feel like it's going to get great. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, Key Radio, streaming on YouTube Live daily, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Ramblers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTech Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world. with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20.
I think I reached, but I'm still
See you in the Snake Pit.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't figured it out already, it's the best damn show in sports, certainly in Canada. Live daytime television. Oh, we're the only live daytime sports talk show in Canada on Game Plus. In America, we're one of them. And before I get to all your comments, and didn't Reid Johnson just light a fire under everything there from the MarkCast? If you want to get in this overtime segment, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by our great friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's so appropriately named. I'll be seeing you, Randy and Michelle, in 2 weeks' time when we're out there in Calgary. Everybody go check it out. More than anything, now's the time you need to be working on your shooting. Don't learn to swim when you're drowning. You can't. Be prepared for this hockey season at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast. Here's the Olympics update. Hot off the presses. Canada's Gabriela Dabrowski and Felix Auger-Aliassime won the tennis mixed doubles bronze medal, defeating the Netherlands in the third-place game at the Paris Summer Games already today. Canada's men's basketball team remains perfect at the Paris Olympics after narrowly defeating Spain 88-85 to close out group play. Canada's Sophie-Anne Mathot took home a bronze medal in women's trampoline gymnastics in her Olympic debut. Swimmer Summer McIntosh is hoping to advance to Saturday's final in the women's 200-meter individual medley. It goes this afternoon. From the Canadian Elite Basketball League, the defending CBUL champion Scarborough Shooting Stars will begin their quest to repeat as they open postseason with an Eastern Conference play-in matchup against the Ottawa Blackjacks. This one's in Scarborough tonight, Toronto Pan Am Center. Shooting Stars home to the Ottawa Blackjacks. The winner advances to the Eastern semifinal on Sunday. In the West, tonight's play-in game features the number 3 seed Calgary Surge hosting the number 4 seed Winnipeg Sea Bears. In a play-in game tonight, the winner advances to take on the Edmonton Stingers in the West semifinal Sunday night in Edmonton. Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. It's Seniors Day every Monday at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price into Sweeten the Deal. Receive 20% off their concession purchase, too. So make Mondays your movie day because a great deal never gets old. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, go, Stamps, go. Buffalo Bill in North Dakota writes in. He says, awesome RP show. Enjoy the weekend. Bomber Boy writes in and he says, Kadeem Carey revenge game. I want to tell you something. What an interesting time for this to come up. But I feel like those revenge game things are way, way, way more overrated now than what they used to be. When you have players switching teams every year, and coaches too, that revenge thing is way overplayed. That's so 2014 or so 2015, you know, or up until 2015. Like that Weston Dressler thing, when he was cut by the Riders, ended up signing in Winnipeg. Yeah, that draw, that was big, to the point that he couldn't even speak about it. He was so mad. It's not a thing anymore. Terry the lawyer in Calgary writes in. He says, entertaining show, Rod. Thanks. That's what we try to do here. I hope you enjoyed the Chris Jones impression. Stacy at Access World Headquarters says, have a great weekend, Rod Squad. Go Riders. Come on out and join us at Roswell's Park in Moose Jaw if you get a chance. We got Weyburn in here Friday, Saturday night. Sunday, I think Swift Current. Monday at Saskatoon, and then the playoffs begin Wednesday. Everybody, be good to yourselves. Take care of yourself more than anything. You know, regarding the rules, John Ohm says innovation is key for pro sports. Some get it, some don't. It was an entertaining show, and that's what makes these Friday shows so special, because we push it all, we save it all till Friday and get it done. Yeah, now they're cheering the Olympics results. We didn't do a lot of that. Everybody else is. We're always the ones swimming upstream. And ain't going to change now. Enjoy the long weekend. I guess we'll see you Tuesday. Stay safe, everybody.
Who has more fun than us?